Welcome once again to my YouTube channel. Today, basically, we are going to talk about human rights. Human rights, you need to know they are provided for in Chapter 4 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda 1995. These are rights. They are divided into two categories. We have what we call derogable rights and non-derogable rights. Actually, before we go that far, you need to know that these human rights, they are inherent and not granted by the state. When you read the under uh, 20, Article 20, they will tell you that human rights are inherent and not granted by the state. And actually, even when you go to the case of uh, Reverend Father Mtikla, it's a Tanzanian case. It will also tell you it's actually Reverend Father Mtikla versus Attorney General of Tanganyika. There is this judge called Rugachinjira J. He held that human rights are not gifts from the state. That is very, very important. Human rights are inherent and not granted by the state. This is usually a question. Some lecturer will set a question and say human rights are inherent and not granted by the state. Discuss the veracity of the statement. But today specifically, I want us to appreciate what we call non-derogable rights. Why are they called non-derogable rights? And why are the other side, these other rights are called derogable rights? And non-derogable rights, they are provided for under Article 44 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. They are called non-derogable rights because they cannot be an individual, a Ugandan has the right to enjoy such rights absolutely. No one can take away such rights if they are categorized under a non-derogable rights. No one can take away such rights. They are provided for under Article 44. They are actually not given. They are not accorded any limit, unlike other rights which are accorded any limit. So such rights they are provided for. I want us to move together. Number one, we have the freedom from torture, cruel and inhumane, degrading treatment. That right, you cannot derogate it. You cannot take away that right from someone. That a person has a right to enjoy that right absolutely. No one can take away that right. So if you know anyone that has ever been derogated of such right, then any person that breached that right was in breach of that provision. But that right is a non-derogable right. No one can take away that right. And number two, we have the freedom from slavery and servitude. No one should subject you to slavery. No one should subject you to servitude. That right is truly, truly absolute. It is non-derogable. As I earlier said, non-derogable rights, these are rights that should not be taken away. That is what we mean when we say non-derogable rights. And number three, we have the right to a fair hearing. Right to a fair hearing. For this one, every person must enjoy that right. It is provided for under Article 28 of the same Constitution. A person must enjoy that right. So no one should try to challenge you. That is a non-derogable right. It is different from other rights that are not provided for under Article 44. In short, all rights that are provided for under Article 44, they cannot be taken away. And finally, under Article 44, we have a right to habeas corpus. Right to habeas corpus simply means that a person must appear before court, whether dead or alive. An individual must appear before court, whether dead or alive. That is what we mean by the habeas corpus. So through the writ of habeas corpus, a person must be presented before court to determine his or her fate. That is what we mean. I want now to first now we delve deep into each article. We shall begin with Article 28, which provides for right to a fair hearing. What does it mean? I want us to appreciate it verbatim, right from the Constitution. What does the Constitution talk about that right? Because you cannot appreciate that right if you're not acquainted with the wordings. You need to appreciate the wording of the Act. The Act says that, the Constitution says that in the determination of civil rights and obligations, or any criminal charge, a person shall be entitled to a fair, speedy, and public hearing before an independent tribunal or court established by law. That is very, very important. Any person with regard to determination of his civil rights and obligation or any criminal charge, that person must appear before court. That is what we call fair hearing. A person must be accorded a fair trial. A person must be accorded a fair trial. And under that article, we have very many things encompassed there. We have the what we call the principle of legality. We shall have a video on it. We have burden of proof. We have the presumption of innocence. All those are rights encompassed under right to a fair hearing. They must be accorded. The very provision, the very article provides that a person charged with a criminal offense shall be presumed innocent until that person is presumed, or until that person pleads guilty. That is what we mean by fair hearing. That article cannot be taken away. It is non-derogable, as provided for under Article 44 and Article 28 of the Constitution. A person must be accorded a fair, speedy, and a public hearing before an independent and impartial court or tribunal. That is very, very important, that you need to appreciate. Let's now go and look at Article 24 of the Constitution. It provides for freedom from torture, freedom from torture basically, and from degrading treatment. That article is under 24, and it is also non-derogable. You cannot derogate, you cannot infringe on such right. You cannot infringe on such right. And we have seen this case in, there is a case of Musa Nsereko versus Attorney General. It's a case of 2020. It's a very good case. It's a very nice case on that right. There is also another case of Kakwenza Ruchirabashija versus Attorney General. It's a very recent case also. They all talk about that right. They say that a right, the freedom from torture and degrading treatment, is a non-derogable right that no person should infringe on. No person should be limited as to enjoyment of such right. That is very, very important. We have under Article 25, the freedom from slavery and servitude. That article is also very, very important, that you cannot, that no one can infringe on such right. And please appreciate that provision. Appreciate that provision. It will give you, it will shed more light or no, in understanding of that right. And in that regard, you must also appreciate the case of Musa Nsereko versus Attorney General. They also talk about the same, that because Musa Nsereko claimed that during the time that he was illegally detained, they were subjected to some kind of slavery because they were overworked. What? So he claimed that they were subjected to slavery. So appreciate that case. It will shed more light on it. Then there is another uh, the last one. I think the last right is the right to habeas corpus. Right to habeas corpus is provided for under Article 23, Clause 9. It is to the effect that a person must appear before court, whether dead or alive. It is very important that you appreciate these provisions. A person must appear before court. That means if your person is delayed, if they delay to bring your person before court, then you apply for the writ of habeas corpus, because the right is non-derogable. No one should take away that right. You have all the absolute rights to apply for that, to apply for the writ of habeas corpus, for the benefit of your client, for the benefit of yourself, for the benefit of any other person being infringed, whose rights have been infringed. That is very, very important. Otherwise, those are rights, what we call the non-derogable rights. We shall have another video on entirely talking about other, those what we can refer to as derogable rights, which have the limit, which where the enjoyment of such rights can be limited. Otherwise, I want to thank you so much for watching. Thank you for taking your time to listen to this tutorial session. I request you to subscribe, share with friends. Let's develop the art of learning together. Law school is the when you want to learn alone. Let's develop the art of learning together. We shall actually get more better. Share, comment. We always need your comments. I always encourage you to comment, because the moment you comment, we know where you need clarifications. We know which you may be there and you need a certain tutorial session on a certain topic. So when you comment, it guides us in determining where you actually need clarification, like I've said. Thank you so much. Let's meet in another video.